My name is Michael Spencer and the car is a 1901, in fact November 1901, Waverley Electric, made by the American Bicycle Company. If you realise the history of motoring, in 1900, 40% of the cars on the road were electric. Another 40% were steam, and only 20% were what they called exploding engines. So they were quite common in the turn of last century.
Yeah.
They were basically horse-drawn carriages that didn't have a horse. So used by doctors, a lot of women liked them. A steam car, you had to get steam up half an hour before you needed to drive it. So you had to go out there, make sure it was full of water, get your blow lamp, start the boiler going, get steam up, and then you could drive it. The electric car, you just switch it on, off you go. Well, that was the problem, charging. An interesting story, Consuela Vanderbilt at Blenheim Palace was given an electric car by her mother in 1904. The car came over from America and it was perfect because Blenheim Palace had got their own generating system. They could charge up a car and she could drive it around the estate, you know, probably 10 miles around the estate, no problem. Normal people, well, not normal people didn't own cars in those days. Anybody else had to charge it up either at a generating station or with their home generating system. They all were different voltages. They were all, some were AC, some were DC. They all had different plugs and sockets. So it's fine if you just drove around your own estate, but if you went to visit your mother-in-law, she probably had a different system, so you couldn't charge it up. Right, in 1901, that car was advertised as doing 60 miles on a charge.
How far could it go now?
I've never driven it 60 miles. When you say go around the track 3 times, that's quite a long way.
Right.
Top speed's probably 15, 16 miles an hour. I've actually owned it for maybe 14 years, but it's been in this country for just over 10. I bought it in America. There was very little interest in electric cars. Very, very little interest. That one was sat in the corner of a guy's collection. In fact, 3 generations of the same family had owned that car for ages and just not interested in it. And I've always been fascinated by electric cars, and now look at them. Everybody's talking about them. Not that often. I'll maybe drive it around our village a few times just to make sure it still works. It's very slow. On modern roads, it's very slow. You get a lot of cars behind you and it's not really fair. Right, off we go. I'm controlling it with this lever on the left, which has got 3 positions. So we're now flat out. We're probably doing about 3 miles an hour. If I want to slow down, I just pull the lever back. That's a slower speed, that's a slower speed again. And then that puts brakes on. Now, look, let's go. We're now flat out, absolutely flat out. We're going up a very, 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 very slight incline, so it slows down a little bit. But it's very easy to drive, exceptionally easy. Just move the tiller, go backwards and forwards. It's quite twitchy. You know, if you do that, it twitches around. They're the controls. And I've got a button here which rings a bell. Going around a bend now, so I'm just moving it to the right. What they called exploding engines that's the gasoline engine, the internal combustion engine, were quite a palaver, and you were sitting on an exploding engine. And a lot of people didn't like that idea. But the other thing was that it scared a lot of horses. So when you were driving an exploding engine, you would scare the horses, and they were everywhere. So it was quite a bad experience. We're driving a car now that doesn't make any noise at all. The only problem is people thought they were being controlled by the devil because there was no horse in front. So they didn't quite know what was going on. No tyre squealing or anything. Pretty boring. Very quiet, but no horses bolting. That's the advantage of this. Again, you probably don't notice, but we're going up a very, very slight incline. And when I say a slight incline, it's like that much, but it's just enough to slow it down. So going up a hill, I would have to change down to a lower speed. The other thing about this car is that when you move the lever back to the electric braking, it basically rewires the motor into a generator. And when you've got a generator, it puts a friction on the wheel, so it breaks the car, the speed of the car, but it also recharges the battery. Regenerative braking. A lot of people thought that was invented by Formula One. So we're now hurtling down the straight. I'm drawing 20 amps, which is not too bad, seeing I've got 105 amps available to me. So I should be able to do this for a few hours.